Very good morning, 100% here. I welcome each one of you for today's counseling program and intensive program on the theme counseling. And we were discussed many topics in counseling. And today with us an eminent person in the field of counseling, Dr. Subhasri, and she is presently heading the Department of Psychology, the PG department at Madras School of Social Work, Chennai. And she's having 2 decades of experience in the field of counseling. And she's an altruistic person, and she's the right person to talk about the counseling skills and effectiveness of counseling. I welcome on behalf of the Red Pond and Yellow Pond Centers for today's program. Over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Suresh. I take immense pleasure to address you all for the internship program. As usual, it is very, very close to my heart, the counseling topic itself. And moreover, the Yellow Pond and Red Pond has become part of us. So it is very, very happy to be in this association. And I could see Vishal Mukund, one of the person whom I am aware of. May I know the other people, just quick introduction about you and your background, please. Vishal Mukund, I know. Victory Vishal Mukund. Okay. So
good morning, Anita here, ma'am. Good morning.
Good morning. Anita. Yes, Anita also I am aware of. She
you
has been
also
into other
okay. So I don't need to give an introduction. Okay, ma'am. Okay.
It's okay, but Anita, your background, please.
Yes, I have a bachelor's in sociology, master's in social work. I have an MPhil in psychiatric social work from NIMHANS and B.Ed from IGNOU, ma'am. I've been mostly into teaching in the primary grades.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, nice to know about Anita. And then the other person? Quickly move on because we have only 1 hour time.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
I'm Payal Gupta from Delhi. I have done MSc in Counseling and Spiritual Health, MA Psychology.
Achha.
And I'm recently working with an NGO.
Okay, so you have a rich experience in the field. Okay.
No, ma'am. Actually, I have switched the field.
Okay.
So I'm also beginner.
Achha, fine.
Earlier I did Masters in Computer Application. I was working as a computer science teacher. But in last 5 years, I am into psychology field.
Okay. So cross major. Okay.
Yeah.
So who is the other person? Shanmugam.
Myself, Shanmugasundaram, ma'am. Ma'am, is it audible I'm talking?
Yeah, you are audible very much.
Yeah, ma'am. Myself, Shanmugasundaram, ma'am. I did my UG in Loyola College in BCom. Now I am Guru Nanak College in Medical and Psychiatric Social Worker, ma'am.
Fantastic. Shanmugasundaram. You know, my guide's name is Shanmugasundaram. Okay. Who else? Who else is there in the team? Isn't it? Okay. So we all have an little background on psychology, and also you have read about the foundations of psychology, and you have also have a very important aspect to be called like a preparatory work for counseling. So I'm going to give a lot of examples and practical examples so that it is useful for you to train yourself. So okay, just take a notebook and from strongly disagree to agree 1 to 5. Just think of these questions. For example, first question. You can mark it either 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 according to your choice. If it is strongly disagree, it is 1. And then slightly means 2. Medium means 3. Like that. Strongly agree means it is 5. So accordingly, you answer for these questions. Number 1, I am a calm and composed person. You need not share the scoring. We'll just look into that. I look to help people in distress. Third, I'm a good listener. You can answer from 1 to 5. Fourth one is I can clearly put across my point. That means communication. Fifth one, I believe human beings are good and trustworthy. I mean to say in general. Hope all of you have done 5 questions now. May I have a thumbs up? There is no marks going to be or good or bad. It is just going to be a kind of an self-analysis. Very good. So moving on to the next 5. Just 10 questions. I believe people have their ability to solve their problems irrespective of the problem or nature. The same 1 to 5. Strongly disagree to agree. I'm easily approachable. 8 to 1. People hesitate to meet and talk to me. 9 to 1. I believe life has its ups and downs. 10 to 1. I feel it's reciprocal, reciprocal means give and take. To respect each other's perspective as everyone's experience are unique. Have you all done? Okay, the higher the score, that means you are in the preparatory kind of an stage in towards the counselor. If you have an experience already, probably you might be knowing the importance of all these points. If you have been into a counseling field, these are the primary things we should have an attitudinal, towards the entire profession as a counselor. So counselor needs to take care of first and foremost physical, emotional, and moral and legal aspects. So you as a person who need to be physically fit. So because for that mentally you need to be alert and mentally you need to take care of yourself. If that actually gives a kind of an orientation for you. So how much importance the emotional well-being of a counselor. If you have been in a very very sad mood and you have been into a very very, very imbalanced in settling down with the emotions, then it is very difficult to be associated with the people who are in distress. You need to understand the self-care is the most important aspect in the counseling. And the moral aspects, you should have a kind of a moral codes for yourself, ethics to be followed, the rules and regulations has to be adhered very strictly. That's very important. So if you are being into this and also some extent of legal aspects, you must be aware of it, where there may be a question where you need to be because in India there is no such a kind of an legal forums are coming forward to rise against counselors, but then abroad it is really a very strict rule, and there are chances for us also to get involved in this. So we have to be very, very careful on this. And as I said that now with the COVID warriors, you can see that a lot of people are coming forward for anxiety, depression, and other aspects. And self-care for the counselors are very important. Ensure your safety wherever you are, because you are the person who is going to take care of someone. So safety is very important. And then ensure safe and security for the client also, because the client has to feel that it's very safe to be with you. So human presence level as well as in the psychological level, you have to provide such a kind of a safety. So for example, for the child, the primary caretaker, wherever they are, the child will be playing, but they will be looking one eye on the primary caretaker now and then. They make sure that they are playing in, they are playing in the proximity of the primary caretaker. And also the primary caretaker have a look on the eye wherever they are working in. It's a very, very simple example I'm giving. That means there is a freedom for you. There is an independence for you. You have a boundaries, you have a space for yourself, but at the same time, you are also being taken care within, within care and a kind of an secured eye. This is a very important aspect to really look into. You don't really hand hold of the client. You don't actually take the client's responsibility. You let the client to be independent, but at the same time, you have an eye on the client. That's a very important aspect as a counselor. And emotionally be very supportive. So whenever there is a kind of a distress being addressed, acknowledging, validating, being with the client. All these are very, very primary things a counselor has to take care. That means your self-care. For example, your emotional well-being, emotional health is very important. You need to be a person with a maturity to deal with, a son or a daughter coming and crying and saying that I have this, even I have a problem, I am also undergoing because of your father. If you start telling, the person may lose the faith in you because you are not the person to approach. You have bundle of problems to solve. How can you solve my problem? So kind of a maturity is a very important aspect to be really looked into, and help even the smallest help you can think of. You may think that for this and all people will come for counseling. If you think, then already you are judging the person. So there is a need for a person to for a small step to ahead. Then they will take a greater challenge on themselves. But the small step, they will be inhibiting. They will be having a lot of trouble to choose. They will have a lot of problem in thinking the entire process and looking in detail. For that, they come for us help. So we have to really understand whether it is a small or a big, we need to be ready for giving the help. And networking is very important right now with the counseling. You need to have a very good rapport with the psychiatrist around, psychologist around, the clinical psychologist around, and the other people who are well trained in certain aspects to refer the client if you are not able to deal with them. Because it is not that your responsibility to deal with the client and say that I cannot do. It is also your responsibility to refer to them a right person. So if they come to you, they should have a kind of there will be a definite help for me. That kind of an approach has to be created. And then logistics. And very importantly, you need to really groom yourself in all other aspects so that you can be into that field for a quite long time. I'm giving a preparation for you as a counselor for a long run. So you must be aware of, as a consultant psychologist or as counselor, how I have to work and what is my need. Yes, any questions? Fine. Okay, so moving on, being an effective, counselor, you need to take care of yourself and various other aspects also. For example, if you have any vulnerability, if you are feeling that low on certain aspects, and if you feel that you don't have strength on that, you need to really constantly work on that. So self-awareness is very, very essential aspect in, counseling. So these are the aspects you need to. For example, you may be aware of the client and you must be well informed about the client, and you should also ensure the client is also in the same page of understanding of what you understand about the client. And also the client family need to be taken care. That means in the COVID scenario, you can see that the lot of people who are coming and approaching us counseling, there is a kind of who is our client, our direct client, whoever approaches, but somewhere the family is also netted to that. In that case, you require an inputs on the family and the background also. And the very important aspect is direct, and the right person whoever you are approaching, you need to talk to them in a very directly. There should not be any kind of a cross comment or anything on the about somebody else. You should be a very, very diplomatic communicator. This need to be practiced a lot. And when this counseling help required, you would have seen in the previous sessions also what are the circumstances and what kind of problems, what kind of issues, what kind of an emotional distress may require a kind of counseling. You might be knowing it. This is to just to brush up. I have given. I will be sharing the PPT to you. So people may come with an idea of, I am unable to cope with stress. They may not term it as coping with stress. They'll say that ரொம்ப கஷ்டமா இருக்குங்க. In Tamil we call it. Some of you panelists from Hindi, मुझे बहुत दुख हो रहे हैं. They don't know what is that is happening to them. They just convey what is the emotional distress they are addressing. That we need to really look deeper and understand it. So don't go by the surface level statement what they are saying. You need to really understand the client deeper and deeper. For that, you require certain aspects to be followed. Number one is very important, the counseling skills I'm going to touch on, how you will work on those things. And the psychological first aid, if you're going to provide, certain do's are there. Be very honest and trustworthy. Or it may be, if it's not under your purview, you cannot take care of that, make sure that I cannot do this. Kindly be very honest with them and respect the person's right on their own decisions, because they ultimately they are going to be the owner of their decision. You need to really give them a space for that, and be aware of the set own biases and prejudices. If you have a judgment towards certain caste or certain group or certain area people, I know I have people who say that from the North Madras people are very very rowdies, people say. So this is a kind of prejudice they actually have, the prejudgmental attitude towards that person, the biased attitude towards people hailing from North Madras. Then automatically whoever comes from the North Madras, I will have such a kind of an eye, the lens will be in a green, so that the green color will be only seen for me. So this is a very important aspect we need to, as a counselor, should have a neutral vision about everything. It should not be about the background, it should not be about the kind of an what is the kind of an caste or a creed or a gender. All these aspects need to be taken care. Make it clear that make it clear that the people, that even if they are refused for help now, they can still access help at any time of in the future. So you need to be very polite and very very approachable and tell them very nicely that how, if they are not ready, if they are not coming forward, it is their right to. So you don't force them. So client has to come on their own. So if somebody as a referral, they will come as a people with for example, the parents will pull their what and bring it to you as a counseling, then it is not possible for you unless the client open up for counseling. So you need to build a very good rapport with this person and feel that there is a need for change in the person. Then only you can make actually some distinctive differences in the counseling process. So this is a very important aspect we need to really look into. When people are approaching us, it is not the first and first go they are going to take up the counseling session. There may be a future client also. We need to give them a space and also a kind of an approachable note over there. And be very appropriate according to the person's culture, age, and gender. You cannot give an kind of an orientation with an age of fourth standard and within 40 years old, isn't it? There is a lot of differences, and age and maturity experience matters a lot. So we need to really adapt to that client's age level, their life position, their life commitments, and also gender, because in with respect to gender, there is a lot of prejudgmental and stereotypical attitude are there consistently. The women come and believe that I cannot, as a woman, I cannot do. They come and carry such a kind of a belief for quite a long time, because culturally they have been, socially, culturally they have been tuned like that. So we need to be aware of all this, what has been the kind of an practices they had, why they believe themselves like that, what is the change they require. So in counseling, you don't just make a difference in their behavioral level, you also make a difference in attitude and belief level. So in that case, you need to really work with rigor with the client. So these are the preparatory do's and don'ts. Means don't ask persons for a money or favor of help them because of their client. Don't indulge in such a kind of a practice. That will create a very bad reputation for you. Never ever indulge in such a kind of. No, I have people that I came to know that the counselor, in the name of counseling, they have been asking for a loan and all. It is not at all going to take you for a long run. And also false promises. You will say that somebody will say that I don't worry, come to me, everything will be all right. Don't worry, all the problems will be solved. Because we don't know what is the problem. We don't know what is the intensity of the problem. Take a not knowing stand. It is very important. So make sure that don't give false promises. We don't, if somebody will say, come and say, would you please help me? Will you give me a solution? Would you solve my problem? If they ask, they're intending for a good, change. So let us respect that only and say that you are willing to change. That is a very positive note. We will let us work on it. I don't know 100% how it is going to turn and how it is going to be, but we both will work our best. That is what you can actually assure, which is in your control. And don't exaggerate your skills also. You don't say that I can do this, I can do that, and all, because in the process they will come to know about you. So once they come to know about you, if the limitations they have understood, it is going to be a very great bad black mark for us. So never ever do that, because once your reputation is spoiled, it is very difficult to rebuild it. And don't force people to help. Don't push or persuade them. It's very important. And the very aspects of these things, they're telling their story and or never pressurize them, let them take on their own and share their person's story with others. Never ever do that, please. It's breaching the confidentiality. Might may know the regular rules and ethics of counseling, but make sure every point I'm practicing that. That's a very important aspect. And don't judge the person of their actions and feelings. They may say that I'm feeling awful, I feel like killing that person. If they say that, don't think that it's going to be a murder. He's an arrogant fellow like that. So it is, you are judging based on a spur of their emotion. It is very, very bad. So you need to keep judgments again, it shouldn't be at all. And you have to respect only the person's, as a human being, not within any kind of another attitudinal, flavor on that. So by ways of thinking, new ways to think about the solutions, and also new ways to express their feelings, it helps the person and individual to come over their problem. The same problem, the same kind of thinking process, if it is going to be again and again, it is not going to help them. So in counseling process, we are helping them to give a different perspectives to help them to come out of it. And it is also resolving conflict, and it is also teaching the problem solving strategies, and it is also a help for live their everyday life in a very ease. That's a very important essence of counseling. So with this respect, I have given a little background, whatever you have read so far and whatever you have covered in internship. This is what do's and don'ts, and what is primarily expected out of a counselor. Here I am coming with a core condition of according to Carl Roger. There are 4 important areas he trusts on promoting a counselor, an effective counselor. You require these 4 core conditions. Unconditional positive regard. So this is something you have to really check yourself. Unconditional positive regard with respect to any kind of an background, with respect to any kind of an problem or issue. You have a respect for the individual. You have a respect for the person. You have a respect as a human. That is a very important aspect. So 40 years old person comes and say that I did an irresponsible thing like that. You shouldn't be put them down or look them down. What a kind of a person you are, what mistake you made. No, somebody come and accepts their mistake in front of you. That itself is a courage. So we have to really acknowledge that, give them a kind of a support there. So the unconditional positive regard is a very essential core condition which required for the counselor to practice continuously. If you really practice this, not as a counselor, I will tell, as a human being, all these 4 conditions, if you started practicing, you'll feel that you are really growing better. You are growing better as a human. You are growing better as a person to connect with, to be with, to help with. So this is a beautiful 4 conditions you need to really think of. And the second important aspect is empathy. Empathy is thinking from others' perspective and feeling what the other person is going through, and also able to understand what kind of pain that would have caused for them, and also able to express the empathetical understanding about them, that is towards them. This is the foremost important. Empathy is not just thinking or putting yourself in other person's shoe, as it has been explained everywhere. It is also traveling with them. It is also understanding the perspective. It is also understanding the feelings and how it creates a kind of an distress in them, and also very importantly able to express what is your understanding about the empathetical understanding about them. That is the most important aspect. The communication is also important over there. And the third aspect is congruence and genuineness. Congruence is being in the same page, understanding whatever the person is, talking to us. You are coming to a kind of the person doesn't have a kind of a mislead or something. The person is able to open up very frankly and open up, with a kind of a genuine connection. That's a very important. That can be possible only if you have a genuinity towards the genuine help. If you keep, definitely the trust will build very easily. So this is a very important aspect. You need to build this congruence. And then concreteness. The concreteness is something which is very important to clarify and also concentrate on whatever has been said has been understood the same way. So you both have been in a very concrete stage to help each other. That means the communication and also the understanding level and comprehension level, and moreover the expression of what you have understood. These four conditions, if you are able to practice, it's a very important aspect. Okay. For example, I'm going to give you these questions. Okay, you can unmute yourself and tell me. I'm feeling bad. What would be the understanding of you, or what could be the next sentence you can actually talk about that? Use any of this: unconditional, positive regard, empathy, congruence, concreteness, and use one or two mixed with, and you can try with these statements. I'm feeling bad. Hello. It's echoing. One at a time. Please give a try. There is no right or wrong answer. Yeah, please.
Ma'am, please repeat your question, ma'am.
Repeat the question. Okay. The question is, see, if you get the clients following responses, what will be your question to make it as a concrete one? For example, if the person is saying, I'm feeling bad, what would be the next question from your side?
What makes you?
Yeah, please tell me. I couldn't hear you properly.
Ma'am, can I?
Yeah, please try.
Yeah, ma'am. It can be what makes you feel bad?
What makes you feel bad?
Feel
Okay.
bad.
Okay. So that is what makes you to feeling bad? That is an open-end question. Very good. So we don't know what is bad actually. So people will talk about good, bad. I don't know what is bad about, isn't it? First of all, I should know the definition of what is bad for this person. What is bad? No, I'll tell you, this particular client, I'm feeling bad. I asked them, okay, what does it, what do you mean by bad? I asked. Then the person said that bad means my father is not giving me the amount. What is that? Packet money for me. Okay. So this person is an adolescent boy. So I thought, so if you guess feeling bad, that person is having something back of the mind and he's going through a trouble or something, we will be misled, isn't it? Instead of that, clarifying with an unknown stand is very important. Okay. The next question. Many people do not like me. What would be your question next?
Why you are thinking like that?
Actually, your voice is echoing. Could you please type in the...
Why do you think people don't like you?
If you ask why question, that is the important aspect is avoid asking why questions. Because if you ask why
right.
question, it is going to hinder the motivation behind. They will say that I don't know. This is how I feel. They will say there is no scope for you to expand. It should be an open-ended question, and it should also create a concrete understanding.
Anita, can I just try the second one?
Yeah, please.
How do you think you could make people like you?
Okay, it is you are actually making the other person move towards the solution. Instead of that, just understanding many people don't like me means, do you mean to say you have meant that many people don't like you? Would you please tell me who are those people? Could you please expand? Could you please tell me more about this? Because it is very vague for me. So whatever the statement, you have to really make them to expand rather than we may intend to have some answer in our mind. Don't ask questions with that intention. Okay, so the next about my studies. Try with the same kind of a note. I'm worried about my studies.
What makes you worry?
Okay, fine. That's one way. Then
What is the reason for your worry?
the reason for your worry. Okay. What's stopping you? That means what is stopping you means I don't understand. Okay, your question has to be promoting the further conversation and it should also be empathizing. Okay, so I wanted to understand you better in this regard. You say that you are worried about your studies. So use a lot of paraphrasing over there. And you said that you are worried about your studies. Could you please explain what is actually or making you to worry? So that is what makes you to worry is a right simple question. And I want to become a teacher. It's a wish statement. Okay. So what is that you would like to concrete on that? So you wanted to have a clarity about that. I want to become a teacher. It is not something about feelings. I want to become
Can
all
you
the
come
best.
again, ma'am?
It's good to hear. It's good to hear that you want to become a teacher.
Okay, good to hear what you want to become a teacher. Okay, that is a compliment. But teacher, is it very clear for you? I want to become a teacher. Is it clear for you? Teacher means it's a broader term. You need to be very specific on that. Somebody said all the best for that. So that's a quite, it's a humorous way to say. So I want to become a teacher. That good, as you said, that good to know that you wanted to become a teacher. And I would like to know, teacher means what is the subject and what kind of a teacher you mean to say. So there should be a same kind of an understanding about, somebody will say that I want to become a good teacher. What is the definition of good according to that person? We don't. So we must be aware of it. So that's a very important. My life is not good. Here I'm giving you a clue. I have already given you a clue. My life is not going good. You should also empathize and move on the question. Empathize and move on. My life is not going good. Right. Most of you have come out well, no? Tell me, what is it?
I understand, but what makes you feel like that?
Okay. I want to tell you guys, never ever use I understand because you don't actually you don't understand. How
Okay.
can you understand if the person has not told for totally? So understand is a very custodial term. We shouldn't be using it. Instead of that, what you have taken from this particular thing? My life is not going good. So I could see that you are somewhere not satisfied about the life, what is going right now. Is it about? And what do you mean by not going good? I would like to know further about that. So that means from that particular statement you ask, expand it rather than making it as an judgmental aspect from your side. So never do that. So this is what is about the concrete statements you are making out to understand and explore and open up the person. So what are the very important aspects we have done? Listening is very important. Non-judgmental is very, very important. Paying attention is most care is important. Accept the client's feelings because it's the client's feelings is so authentic. We need to really accept it rather than how can the client be like this when it's going on like this. You shouldn't be thinking anything about that sort. So listening, so develop his or her thinking skills and how they are thinking, how they are working on what is that the client is thinking about in the entire aspect what they are discussing. You should be able to understand only if you have a listening capacity. And also not judging, feel the person is able to be very respected and also feel that I am safe and secured with in front of this person because this person is not going to judge me. As soon as you think that okay, you are just 18 years old and you are saying that life is not so good, what is that your statement you are making? At the age of 18, you are talking about life experience. If I say, what is that I'm making over there? Hello? Am I with you? Got the point?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so the non-judgmental aspect, and somebody will come and tell you that, I lost my puppy. It's so, my pet is so close to my heart, and I feel like, ending myself. Somebody come and tell me, what should be the next statement from your side? Someone will say, for a puppy, for a pet, you will end your life. Are you crazy? People will ask, isn't it? That means it's totally a judgmental statement. A puppy and a pet could make such a difference in somebody's life need to be understood. Okay, so that person is going through a grief. The person is going through a painful state. We need to understand. We shouldn't be judging based on our own assumptions that pet is just a dog and why do you think of then and you are precious. How can you end your life? That is something you are talking from a judgmental attitude and also an advice. Never ever do that. And the third thing, pay attention. See, the paying attention is something a very foremost important aspect in a human presence level and as well as in the the psychological level. What is the acronym used for paying attention is solar in Egan's model. Solar is used. Are you aware of it? SLOER. Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So the solar is something sitting squarely, that is you are facing the person, and also open posture, not having a cross or something, not a closed posture, and also leaning forward. You come forward and listen to the person, and eye contact has been maintained and relatively relaxed. This solar is a very essential aspect to say that your attention is throughout with that person. And the acceptance of the client's feelings, that is what is we are doing empathetical statements over there. The empathy is something foremost important for all of us to practice. That's a very important. And think about the client perspective, client's position, client's life position, client's situation, all that, so that it will be helpful for you to think from the clients holistically. So you can say, if you have a doubt about it, you say this, I don't know, I couldn't understand. You are in the 10th standard and you talk about these things. What is the exact situation you are in? I'm not able to understand because actually you don't know. The not knowing stand helps you in every point of your time. So get help, from the client to help themselves. That's a very important. Get the best help possible only if the client is opening up 100%. You are becoming an open communicator. You accept whatever the client says, and you also proceed with whatever the client says. Then only you are able to follow the entire communication and entire counseling process and ask questions which can develop his own her own thinking. So when you are moving on from the first stage, that is the knowing stage, understanding stage, and then moving on to the working stage, that working stage, probably you have to really create insights. The insights are something, the questions you ask with comparison of their own life situations, their past experiences, their past success, and there are also questions about and something logical reasoning questions, so that the person is able to understand something is in their hand. Okay, so you said that you're going through a very terrific period because of this and this. Is there anything else in your life that any other situation you had such a kind of an experience that gives them a thought that there isn't such a kind of an experience in life? And then, okay, I have such. Okay, in that case, could you please explain me what kind of an experience and how it is related to right now, what is you are going through? Then the person is able to think about that and what is that the experience and what is the similarity between this experience and that experience. They're able to give in a very, very good nutshell. And then based on that, you can ask question, how did you come across that situation? How were you able to, cope with that? How did you actually come to a conclusion or a solution based on that questions? That will help them to open up their avenues for this particular problem also. So some of them, while they're emotionally loaded, when they're in the distress for a quite long time, they're not able to think logically or reasonably. This aspects, help them to think rationally what they have done already, and that will help them. So this is a very, very important aspect we can actually try with many clients. It really works very well. And summarize, it's the very most important aspect of a skill required for the counselor in the communication. I should say that the entire communication skills you need to really groom better and better and better. Every day you have to really invest time on that, paraphrasing, summarizing, picking up the paralingual aspects, and also paying attention, and also able to listen without uninterruptedly, and also able to people used to filter, people used to have a selective listening. All that you need to really look into. As a counselor, you need to grow in deeper and deeper in understanding about a human person and human nature, and also how can you build a trust. If you see yourself as a counselor and many of the places, how you have been able to build the trust, that is the success of the counselor. So I should say that if the person is able to come and share something very great, deeper secret to you, that means you are so important in their life, and they trust you so much in their life. That means you have created a very important difference in their life. So you makes everybody to live with a light of no lighter sense and peace. That means you are able to actually touch somebody's heart. So that kind of an that kind of an communication you should build in. So this is the foremost important aspect for building all that. What kind of a quality required as a counselor? You need to actually have a very good self-awareness. So the awareness is, for example, these are the first and foremost important are the skills you should have, the basic counseling skill, building rapport, ensuring trust, and also confidentiality, and also attending and listening, responding, showing genuineness, providing empathy, being very transparent and being aware, the emotional issues and other things, and being very authentic, very transparent. These are the aspects. But having all these, you require some kind of a personality attached to that. To build that qualities, it's very essential. For example, self-awareness. Being aware of yourself at different situation, what is the kind of a person I am? Is that the person whom I like, I have a different attitude? The person whom I don't like, I have a different attitude. I need to really look into. If you started thinking from a neutral pace with people around, then you can see that your entire perspective of people becomes very situational basis. So for example, a person is scolding someone in front of others, and you are the third person witnessing it, and the person is scolding very badly, and you are seeing the other person who is getting scolded has been crying and feeling very bad. Your sympathy towards the person will go to the person who's affected, and then immediately you will think of what a kind of person this is. He is a rubbish person. Why he is scolding in front of everyone, and it shatters the self-esteem of this small boy. But if you really see, he would have done a very great mischiefs, and he would have stolen something from the other house or something, which the person would like to punish and correct the person. So we don't know the other side, we judge very quickly. So if a person is taking a neutral stand, in that case the self-awareness is high. I don't know what is happening there, I'm ready to explore. I wanted to understand, and then I wanted to convey something. That is better than you giving a judgmental statement on that. So a person with a self-awareness have a very kind of a graded groundedness, that we call it. They don't actually feel high about themselves to advise anyone. They don't feel high about something happening means they take a lead, and they wanted to give their direction and list it out, and they wanted to say that I'm aware of all this. No, that they won't do. They listen passionately. They listen to the other person with respect. They listen to the other person with a lot of lot of open mindedness. That is a very important aspect in counseling. So the first and foremost, you are clearing the floor, you are cleansing the floor, you are preparing the ground. That is what's the self-awareness in counseling. And the second one is about the respect, gaining respect and providing respect. Both are important. So it is reciprocal in nature. If you have a very great respect for yourself, that is ultimately that is reflected in everyone. So you have to really respect each one whom you are meeting with, and the individual. For a 5 years kid, if you're seeing, with the same respect, you will see the person with 50 years also. That means a person doesn't change the respect because of their experience or age. Okay, the person has a respect as they are, just being as a person. This is something which is very important. So the person's feeling has to be respected. The person's age and their experience. 5 years old child has his own unique experience, which need to be respected. Rather than your 5 years you would have crossed, that is not the same for the child. So we need to respect from their perspective. That is a very important aspect. So the person who has been respected, you will automatically show care towards them, will show concern towards them, that is translated in your language, that is translated in as an energy level. So in that case, the trust has been built very easily. The trustworthiness, make sure at any point of the time, you are not breaking the trust, or you are not breaking the expectation of the client from your side. So if the child is 15 years old and come and talk about something related to a girl whom he is having an affair, and he's saying that I really love her, I like her features, she looks very sexy, all that, you are just listening. And what kind of a person this person is, and you tell that girl, you don't wear such a kind of a dresses, this person is looking at you very badly, then you have already broken that trust. Instead of making an awareness about this person, 15 years old boy, you are actually prizing about the features of the someone else. How can you respect the person with all that features and all other attractiveness? How can you respect the person? That has to be the perspective change in the person, rather than looking at that in a other angle. This is a very important aspect we need to practice throughout the counseling session. Even after the counseling is over, they have become your client and they have become a file for you. No more you are going to be dealing with that person. You shouldn't be revealing any of the important aspects which has been dealt or which has been spoken in the counseling session in an open forum or something. You can refer it for learning purposes without naming, without ensuring none of the background has to be opened. You can just give a case. It can be possible for a learning purpose, but nothing else has to be revealed. So I had one of the teacher who used to tell me, I'm not actually telling about the teacher who has taught me is wrong, but the way she has taught me, I still remember. She told me that if you say a person is hailing from that rural area, she has a long hair and she is having an affair with that boy, and that girl is not like this. If you say that, you open up everything about the secret of the person, and then you say, I won't tell the name of the person, you would say it's not going to be helpful. So you have to be very careful on this trust maintenance, confidentiality maintenance, and then the competence. Every day in a given day, you have to really groom yourself. There is a possibility for me. See, I've done now, this is my more than 500 sessions I have conducted in my career. All these sessions, I tell myself, and every session is a unique experience for me. Every day is a unique given chance for me to groom my competence and go to the next level and climb high. That's a very important aspect we need to invest on. So that I feel that everybody has to work on competence consciously. So you have to say that in listening skills, how much I can rate myself from 0 to 10. In that case, I am 5. I need to improvise 6. So I need to work for it. In, for example, in attending skills, how much I rate for myself for 0 to 10. How I'm right now, how was in the beginning, how can I improve on? So looking at that. So when it comes to empathizing, am I able to empathize with the people around me without any irrespective of this? Some subordinates you may not be empathizing. For some boss, you may not be empathizing. For some of the people who are colleague, you may not be empathizing. But if you start practicing this empathizing with everybody, your problem will settle down. Your issues will settle down. Your challenges will settle down. You can see that you are working in a peace, inner peace. That's a very important aspect we need to cultivate. And then being very transparent. That's the most important aspect. So what is that? The transparency. Am I transparent 0 to 10? You think of yourself and how much I can improvise on it. So the competence is a continuous process you are building on. So you shouldn't be you shouldn't be satisfied with that. You need to really grow every day in a given opportunity. So then the other aspect is about the critical judgment. So never think of, and you are the expert of that field and you know everything. So I have a beautiful experience I would love to share with you. So one person came and told me that he's just, just I think 8 to 9 years old. I don't remember the entire. So this person came and was talking about, this life about the people who are living in a forest, and he was talking about, something that he was comparing something with an windmill and other things. So I was just wondering what this guy is talking about windmill and all. I had a quick judgment about that boy, at the age of, 5 to 6 years, he is talking big topics. I was really thrilled, I was pulling him. So what do you know about windmill? Yeah, you're talking about windmill, and you're also talking about people living in forest and all. What is the big understanding about that? So I already had in mind that 5 years or 6 years of a child may not know much on this windmill, or something called forest life. How can we know about that? He gave me it was a slap on my face that he said that my father was a forest officer, and all his experiences have been throughout in the forest guest house, and I used to go to along with him for his work and every day, and I used to look into this. I know even the species of the living. I have listed out some of the name of the plants and name of the botanical names of that, and very rare species in the forest. And I also know the life in the forest and how it looks and how it evolves. He gave a beautiful picture to me. A 6-year-old boy, and talking about windmill. Okay, I'm really surprised. How did you know about windmill? He said that in the forest there is one high place where the windmill is being operated. I've been there for quite a long times. I used to visit over there, and there is an engineer over there. I used to ask him questions about how the windmill functions, what is the use of it, how it has been effective, what can be used by making that energy, all that. Used to, with a curiosity, he has learned a lot about the forest and life and windmill. So never ever judge a person by their age or a gender or their background or anything, any damn thing. Definitely you will be really get a shock when you judge, because most of your life that you live with your judgments. That's a very wrong aspect we need to really shed out. So never judge, just be very open and genuinely ask doubts and clarify it. It's very important. And this genuineness is something which you need to really practice and every day. So am I genuine? Am I authentic? Am I talking something very transparent from my mind? Am I keeping something hiding in my mind and asking something else? So, for example, if the person would have been talking about something, of their relationship issues, their husband and wife issues, and he is blaming about the wife for quite some time, and 10 past 15 minutes he's been blaming. And back of your mind, you're saying that what a kind of an wife she is, and how horrible the relationship is going on. But you are talking very, in a sugar coated way. Okay, I could understand that would be a very, very great, difficult relationship you are in. So that doesn't sound what you have in the back of the mind. Instead of that, genuinely, if you address, the person will come closer to you. So you'll say that, see, while you are talking all this for the past 15 minutes, honestly speaking, I was keeping this, what kind of a person you are married with, and I was really thinking of it's so horrible, difficult to have a relationship with such a person. I don't know whether I am right or wrong, but I genuinely felt so. I'm sharing with you. If you say that, definitely the person has a respect for you, but they will come closer and talk much, open up. So this is something, the genuineness, which you need to practice every now and then. And being in concern and also showing concern, it's very important. Being concerned, you may have a concern, but showing it is very important. And most of the time, if the person, so I have seen some of them, when they're crying, they touch them, they soothe them and all. It's according to the client's choice. It shouldn't be yours, because some of them doesn't prefer touching them. So especially with the cultural background, you have to be aware of that. So the concern has to be translated in language. How can you show that? The pace, the tone, the kind of concerning words you use, all these are very important. Being there for the person when they are really looking for, that's a very important aspect. And this in empathy, which of the very important quality which Roger says. And some people say empathy is also a kind of a skill. I feel that is an attitudinal skill also. But empathy could be addressed as a quality. Empathy is feeling the other person's disguise or something is going on and able to understand from their point of view the entire perspective. That's a very important aspect we need to, as a counselor, look into. So these are the qualities as a counselor if you're able to practice, and this help you to build the skills which is required for a counselor to proceed with this. This is possible only if you involve yourself. This is like fishing. This is like swimming. Unless you get into the water, you may not be able to swim, isn't it? I may give you 100 hours of coaching in each skill, but unless you practice it, you may not be able to say that I am practicing this. So getting in practice is very important. So you have seen this, you check yourself the basic counseling skills. Are you a very attentive person? Do you also keep silence while somebody is talking, without interrupting, without not judging, without not, just listening? That's a very important aspect. And reflecting and paraphrasing is very important communication skill. Reflecting is something which which the person talks about a feeling, we're able to reflect it. And also paraphrasing it, bringing up and kind of an understanding and then giving to them back what you have said. And paraphrasing, after that, some of conversation has taken place, 4 or 5 statements are over, then summarizing and understanding the crux of it is important. Questioning, of course, open-ended questions, not a judgmental questions, open-ended, and also scope for the person to talk more about the concerns what they are having. Focusing, person may have a kind of a talk here, they will talk about father and suddenly they will go to mother, suddenly they will go to grandmother, suddenly they will go to something else, and one more teacher and something else, and they will be shifting their focus. And we need to, as a counselor, has to, you came with an agenda of talk about this, so may know what is the priority right now. So that also you don't judge, you ask them what is your priority. So you said about you have a problem with your father, you have a problem with your mother, you have a problem with your teacher, you have a problem with your grandma and grandpa. So these are the aspects you spoke to me. And then what is your priority now, right now, to face it? Because we'll go one by one, we may not be able to deal everything all together. So giving them a choice and also empowering them to decide on themselves. And based on that, focusing is very important. And immediacy. This, most of the time, what they will do, they will go to their past and they'll, oh, that father did this. When I was 10 years, when I was 6 years, when this, they will go for stories of past. When immediately bringing them back to the immediacy is very important. So you said about that, and how it is relevant to the current problem, what you spoke to me. So this is an immediacy, pulling them to an here and now is very important. And somebody will talk about some problem happened for 4 years, 5 years back. How it is relevant right now is important, and moreover, how it is a problem right now and how it is related to the problem what you stated right now. These are the questions. Bring them back to the immediacy. This we need to really practice very well, because most of the time the client will be misleading. The time will be just in the wandering of so many stories you will be wasting. So instead of that, concreteness and immediacy helps you to be strict with that. It's very important. And the first and foremost important aspect is the building rapport. It starts from rapport building, silence, attending, reflecting, summarizing, questioning, focusing, immediacy. Okay. So when immediacy comes, means then they are solving towards, we are moving towards the confrontation stage, and then we are moving towards the solution action plan stage. So these are the basic aspects we need to explore of counseling skills. So the effective counseling skills: active listening, paying attention, eye contact, nodding your head, hearing before you don't evaluate, rather than you understand the questions, and also listening for the whole message, not taking bit and pieces, paraphrasing whatever you have heard is important. And probing is something you are asking much question for clarifying what is the causes for the feelings and other aspects. And poor listening may end up in a lot of mischiefs. You have to be very, very careful on that, because you will miss out one part and you may not get it back. So if you miss out some part also, it is not something wrong that it may happen in our counseling process. You can ask them, I'm sorry, I'm hearing, but I lost somewhere in the process. Could you please tell me again? You can ask, you be very genuine on that. It's very important. And never ever advise them if it is the subject matter, what they are discussing, it may be an unimportant for you, but it is matters for them that you need to really take care. Okay. And you never criticize them or being very sarcastic. All that is, you should be very, very careful on that. Talk very, very, genuinely, transparently, and also with a lot of diplomacy, not having any kind of a sugar coated or a kind of, hidden messages they don't require. Let it be a straight language. So you feel like this whenever that happens like this, if you give some kind of a clues and talk, they find it very uncomfortable to talk because you always assume something inside has been reflected. Never pretend. Be very attentive. Never pretend, because they will come to know about it. They will say sometimes, listen, I'm talking to you this. It's very important. They will say that, listen, that means you are pretending to be attentive. You are not attentive. So you have to be very careful. And hearing what is expected, something sometimes we miss out something which is required we do. So these are the points. Rehearsing all that is very important. And people who have been done an study on what are their established rapport and other things and all, they require to practice continuously. And there is no end for practice, and every therapy requires a kind of a deeper and deeper understanding about these skills. So if you are able to do that with an essence, then you can see the progress is taking place in you. So with this note, I'm concluding the session as it is time for all of you. If you can raise up any questions, or we can have a discussions or something you would like to contribute, I'll be very happy.
So much, ma'am. It's very informative. Best thing, whatever this is, the does and don'ts were really extant, and we have to know this.
Archana, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you
Even for
properly.
me, I'm Archana, your voice is not clear. You can check your audio.
It's breaking.
Completely breaking. Yesterday only we discussed about communication and counseling. Yes, any others? Okay, I'll give my feedback regarding your presentation. I think I witnessed the same kind of presentation earlier also at Sri Perumbudu. And now I can see that a lot of examples related to the points were added here. I hope it is meant for the benefit of the participants here. So that is my observation, the previous one and the present one. And the topics are very sequential, and what need to be needed, what are the ingredients for an effective counselor were discussed here. And if they know that ingredient, then they can able to make it. And mostly for any kind of formula, Coca-Cola or KFC, they won't give the formula. And here is the formula is given to the participant, and you have to take it, and you have to internalize, and you have to practice yourself to become an efficient counselor. So I think you have received a lot of inputs from Dr. Subhasri ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for that. And if you have any questions, I think there are 20 minutes for discussion for all the days. And I couldn't see your active participation yesterday. And now I request you can open up your any questions, or you can add that points to the presentation which was made by Dr. Subhasri. Hope you all.
Yes, please. Payal.
Yeah, ma'am. Thank you for the wonderful session. These are not only words. I earlier also I have attended your session, but every time this is very true that your sessions are very fresh. It doesn't look like that. ठीक है, means ki, okay, fine. I have heard this counselor earlier also, faculty earlier also. The thing will be same, but every time, trust me, your sessions are very fresh, and whatever inputs you have given in the session, I read many things, but the thing is, the way you tell to imbibe us to become a good counselor is very nice. Means, and it reflects that you have already imbibed all those qualities. that made me to rejudge myself, reevaluate myself, my capabilities to become a good counselor. So thank you once again, ma'am.
Thank you, Payal. So nice of you. It's a remark. But what I really mean to say is, if you really practice everyday counseling only, you can really relate very well with each topic. So never inhibit to practice counselor. Somewhere we have to start. Every little, bigger journey starts with a single step, isn't it? Take a single step, make a use of it. If somebody comes and share that I have a problem, immediately lend your ears and start listening to them. Active listening makes you to fall into the next phase. So make sure that without an anxiety, you start practicing counseling. That's the foremost important aspect for a counselor. Unless you get into the water, you cannot swim. You can, only listen water swimming.
Very true, ma'am. Ma'am, I want to share one, I can say, a bad case that I faced. In this pandemic, I come in touch with a lady. She wants some help, and she came to me with a reference of mine, my friend. Right?
Mm.
So she keep on giving me missed calls, and she was not actually calling me, right?
Okay.
So it was near about 10 when she again gave me a missed call, 2 or 3 missed call, and my friend told me कि whenever she do these kind of activities, it means कि she is in a high level of anxiety,
Okay.
right? So though it was 10 p.m., but I recall her so that I can come to know what problem she is facing, right?
Okay.
So it was too late, but I called her.
Okay.
So in between our communication, she keep on telling her problems. So in between, because it went to 11, so in between I interrupt, and I said, yeah, I came to know about some of your problems from my friend, but let's start with some relaxing exercise. So with me, she was doing some breathing exercise, but and after that I realized that her breathing was quite normal as compared to when she was in the initial stage of our communication. But like after the breathing exercise, I told her that in the morning we'll do the talk, so that because it's going to be quite late, so we'll do the talk tomorrow. And I have fixed my timings and all, so in brief I mentioned some timings to her. So after the call, immediately she gave the details that how rude she was. That she said ki I'm like she's giving me some kind of sympathy ki I'm taking your call, and these kind of statements she mentioned to my friend when I. So how to handle these kind of cases means how to handle these kind of cases.
Okay, Payal,
How
actually,
to
my
fix the
understand.
boundaries. How to fix the
Okay.
boundaries. Yeah.
Fantastic, Payal. You have asked a very relevant question. And first, let me understand. Let me, say whether I have understood very clearly the case. Okay. So the very important aspect is somebody is calling you anxiously. That is anxiousness is your understanding about that person. You been calling again and again, and 10 o'clock night they call, and sometimes you have picked up. One day you picked up the call by 10 o'clock and you spoke to the person, and that person was talking for more than an hour about the problem, and she was not ready to keep the phone down. So you gave her a relaxation by giving breathing exercise, and she has become little settled down. And the next day when you are talking, and the person actually spoke to their friend, your common friend, about the problem what they have discussed. Am I right? I have understood properly.
Yeah. She has written a very big message to my friend that she is very rude. She said ki I don't take calls at 10, and she has given she make me very clear that we have a fixed time, and what happen if I'm having problem in the night, how what kind of counselor she is, means all these things she has written in the. So I was feeling like maybe I have done something wrong, or maybe I have to consult someone, because setting up boundaries is a good thing. But the thing is ki, what is the correct way to set the boundaries?
Okay. So you came to know about this from your friend. She has texted you the same.
Ma'am, please share that whole text to me, that this is the feedback what she has given. So,
So this is a very important aspect. If somebody is talking about us to someone and somebody, the other person also may talk about us. So be very cautious about the confidentiality matter. Okay. So the common friend would have referred this person to you. She may be going through an anxiety. That is in some aspect you are keeping in mind and you are approaching the client. And more for an important aspect, the client has to come forward for counseling. You don't force them. Okay. So when the person calls 5 times, 6 times missed call, you may give a call that you can say that I had a missed call from this number. I don't know who is this calling and may know the reason for call. That's it. That's it. The person has to come forward for counseling. Rather, you take up the counseling session for them. This is something fixing up the commitment from them side. No, that is I have a problem. I am willing to change. I require a help. I am coming and calling for that. So you shouldn't be calling them and you require a help. You wanted a kind of a counselor. I am ready for that. Never fix the responsibility from your side. It is always from the client side because the change takes place from the client, commitment is from the client, and the responsibility is from the client side. This is the first and foremost important boundary setting. You never call the client unless, so even we give appointments, we give text, but we never call the client. The client has to call.
right,
Even a
right,
fixed appointment, they should call us because this is their problem. They have to own it. You cannot actually take the responsibility for the client's sake. This is one important aspect. Unless it is a child, don't keep this as an formula for everything. Okay, unless it is a child are not that mature to deal like that. They may miss out. They don't know the importance of this and all. So in that case, the caretaker need to be given an allow kind of an the scheduled meeting is this for the session for the what please make sure that the child is attending because sometimes the behavioral modifications and all we have to do it continuously. If we lose out any session again, we have to redo certain things. So it's very difficult for us to catch up again and again. So child need to be monitored like that, but not the adult. And number two important aspect is if the person is saying once that has been messaged, if you talk to that person, you don't call that person again. Number one. Number two, if the person come to you, they themselves call you. Fix the boundaries, rules and responsibility for your own counseling session. Never deviate from that. That's a very important aspect. And certain clients just like that, they play a role. They keep on calling even at the late night. Be very strict on your appointment timings. It is not that you are always ready for them, isn't it? So, for example, even in the initial stage of counseling, we may be overwhelmed to see the counselee's reaction. And we will take calls of whenever they are calling. Then you will understand that they are taking a ride on us. So you have to be fixing with the professional boundaries. You're a client, I'm a counselor. I'm here to help you, but in a given appointment time, not more than that. Okay. And you cannot expect me to help me in personal grounds, or you cannot help me to because you know my problem. Can you come and talk to my parents if they ask? Never ever do that. Because these are the obligations they are looking from your side. Never do that. These are the aspects you need to fix the boundaries as a counselor. And it is always go by appointments, timing, and if the appointment is cancelled, you have missed out the appointment, kindly fix up the next appointment. You have every right to say that.
right, ma'am. Right, ma'am.
Yeah,
Thank you, ma'am.
and also and make sure that you have, if you are paying, you have been paid for any friends call, friends reference, just because a friend has called. It's a professional relationship you are fixing up. In that case, never say that I'm fixing up a professional boundary with you. It is not friend or friend to you. Just let it be very clear about the roles and responsibilities so that I can do counseling. Otherwise, it is like a just friends who has given a very bad comment about you. That is really hurting you right now. That's the reason you are talking to me.
Yeah, ma'am, that's true. It was very hurting.
So I think in the initial stage, you have to really that's a very important aspect. If something hurts you, you need to really express and go through that. And very importantly, there will be up and downs even in the counseling process. You may not catch up the client's feel immediately. It may take time and other things. So you have to really practice for a while and understand the depth of it. Don't get disheartening for all these comments about others.
Yeah, ma'am. Right. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Yes. என்ன ஆச்சு சுரேஷ்?
Sir is celebrating Father's Day.
Yes. இன்னமும் கம்ப்ளைனா இல்ல குஷியா இல்ல தூக்கமா தெரியல. Okay. Yes, anything else, comments to be added? Or anything else you would like to ask questions? That's a good question, Payal. I'm really thankful for you sharing it to us.
It's my pleasure, ma'am.
Vishal, you have any question? Vishal Mukund.
No, ma'am. Actually, I heard everything from you, ma'am. I'm grasping as much as I can. I will go through it, and as you say, it is a practicing, and I'm ready for my swimming suit and everything. I will jump in the pool after swimming. If I have doubt, I will call you, ma'am, because
Thank you.
now I can't feel how it will be. As much now, I hear many problems from many persons, but not in the counselor view. Just as a person and human being, I heard and listened many of them. Now I'm recalling that what I may done that side at that time, how may I deal them. It's better like that. I'm recalling that. So I'm waiting for my opportunity. Before that, I will practice my skills, ma'am, and everything.
Oh, fantastic.
Thank you, ma'am.
That's nice. That's nice, Vishal Mukund. You spoke continuously without any, inhibition. That's nice.
Yes, ma'am. With your workshops, I learned these two, ma'am.
That's very important. Learning and implementing. Every day implementing is important. Yes, anybody else would like to contribute some point, or you would like to ask me something?
Excuse
Yes.
me, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, actually, my friend's friend, actually, he is suffering sexual harassment, ma'am.
Okay.
அந்த இன்சிடென்ட்க்கு அப்புறம் உங்களுக்கு நிறைய மறந்து போகுது லைக் அந்த மாதிரி. ஸோ இதனால வந்து டே டு டே ஆக்டிவிட்டீஸ்ல ஷி மே ஃபர்காட் மேம்.
இல்ல உங்க क्वेश्चन என்னது?
இல்ல மேம், ஆக்சுவலா இந்த ஆக்சிடென்ட்னால அவங்களுக்கு டே டு டே ஆக்டிவிட்டீஸ்ல நிறைய மறக்க செய்யுமா மேம்?
See, we don't know about the client's state of mind right now. If the sexual harassment has been rooted and they are in a guilt, or they are been in a very, very bad shape because of the past trauma, that need to be taken care. That is called trauma-informed intervention or counseling required for the person. So if the person மறந்து போகுது அப்படின்றதெல்லாம் வந்து நீங்க பெரிஃபரலா பாக்குற விஷயங்கள். So we have to really intervene that person, and we also have to understand there is a possibility for that person because அதுக்கு முன்னாடி நடந்தது இல்ல அந்த சம்பவத்துக்கு அப்புறம் அதுக்கு ரிலவெண்டா நடந்தது எல்லாம் அந்த ட்ராமால மறக்கிறதுக்கான சான்சஸ் இருக்கு. But it doesn't mean that they will lose all that memory or everyday living memory எல்லாம் போயிடும் சொல்ல முடியாது. But something related to the trauma, they may miss out something. Shanmugam, unless we see the client and we interact the client, we may not come to a conclusion of what they are going through. Very importantly, we just know the bits and pieces of the puzzle. We don't know the entire puzzle. And the bits and pieces வச்சுட்டு எல்லாத்தையுமே நம்ம எப்படி இதான் பிக்சர்னு சொல்ல முடியாது இல்லையா? அது ஒரு மூக்கா இருக்கலாம், இல்ல சம் பார்ட் நாக்கா இருக்கலாம். We don't know. We have to really see the entire picture and talk about that.
மேம், ஆக்சுவலா இந்த மாதிரி கிளைண்ட் கிட்ட அவங்களுக்கு சாட்டிஸ்ஃபைடே இல்ல அப்படின்ற நம்ம என்ன பேசினாலும் அவங்களுக்கு வந்து சாட்டிஸ்ஃபைடே இல்லைன்ற பட்சத்துல அப்ப நம்ம மேல மிஸ்டேக் ஏதாவது அதை ரெக்கக்னைஸ் பண்ணலாமா மேம்?
இல்ல இவங்க கிட்ட பேசுறதுன்னு இல்ல, really we have to ask them. Catharsis is very important. We have to listen to them. The trauma people who have been involved, first of all அவங்க அந்த நீங்க ட்ராமால ட்ரெயின்டா இருந்தா மட்டும் பண்ணுங்க, ரொம்ப முக்கியமான விஷயம். ஏன்னா the person who has been remembering the harassment in again, it will evoke their problem again. அதே ஆங்ஸைட்டி, அதே மாதிரி ஒரு மனநிலைமையும் உடல் நிலைமையும் உருவாக்கிடும் அது. அதனால never ever get into that unless you are prepared for it. lot of catharsis is required for this person. This person has to talk to you. நல்ல lending here. Unconditional positive regard ஓட அவங்களோட கேட்டுக்கிட்டே இருங்க, அவங்க பேசிக்கிட்டே இருக்கட்டும். Then they will feel one point of timeல the ventilation முடிஞ்ச உடனேவே they will come forward for the help. Otherwise they won't be ready for the help. சும்மா pretend பண்ணுவாங்க.
ஓ ஓகே மேம். தேங்க்யூ மேம்.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you all for fruitful interaction for today's session. I think we have reached at least 40% of your counseling program. And I can say that the same thing you will listen if you go for a 2 years of program. The same content will be delivered in counseling program. In detail, they will have the seminar conference. That is the thing, is an added advantages. Otherwise, 30 hours program is enough for doing that, understanding the nuts and bolts of counseling. I think here we made everything that collated all the expertise inputs here, utilize it, and if you have many questions, ask as much as questions if you want to be expert in the field. Otherwise, if you listen and what they are observing, definitely you will not become an effective counselor. With that note, I record my sincere gratitude to Dr. Subhasri for giving wonderful session today, and also the participant for your interactive session. We will meet again in the evening by 3 p.m. Bye-bye. நன்றி, வணக்கம்.
நன்றி.